Okay, good morning. Happy Monday. Going to do a little mobility today. Going to have a couple of conversations about what's going on. And just more than anything, hopefully just set you up for a really great week of training. A lot of great racing coming up, events, trips, just the first little peak of performance, which shouldn't be the best that you're going to be this year. We should be on a journey upwards, but this is definitely coming into what we would call our kind of pre-season, in-season time. And that's true even if you don't race. So you just really want to recognize that throughout the year, you're going to have peaks. And through those peaks, we need periods of rest. And we also need periods of time during that rest when our bodies can actually adapt and take on the training that we do and make ourselves better. So rest and mobility is just as important as the hard training. So let's start with a little bit of foam rolling. We'll go through it really quick. We're going to start mostly with the thoracic spine here, first thing this morning. So just kind of looking that it's first thing Monday morning. We're kind of getting out of bed. We maybe haven't done things yet. Some of you wait until later in the day, and some people even later in the week. Recognize that there are more than 40 episodes now of Mobility Monday. And so if you want, you could actually go on a little bit of a tear and hit one mobility every single day and start building yourself this routine. And I'm happy and proud to be kind of the impetus that might give you more focus towards how you move. So you can see as we start foam rolling through the lat, nice and gentle, I'm just cross fibering the lat muscle, that big back muscle, across the rib cage, and just moving it gently, gently, gently. And then it kind of moves into the mid back. So we're just going to face up just a little bit and just kind of cross fiber through the rib cage until we basically meet it right at the spine. And it actually doesn't go all the way. It doesn't really attach to the spine itself directly, but it attaches through fascia into the spine. So let's go into that same thing other side. So we're going to start with the foam roller kind of right in the armpit. The thumb is up, and just cross fiber across those lats. Okay, good. And then we start working, opening the chest up a little bit, recognizing that the importance of opening up the lat and the muscles, because there's not just one muscle in there. As we start to get a little bit more to the back side of the body, there's the rhomboids, there's all the muscles that surround the spine, the iliocostalis, the longissimus, and the spinalis. Just move through that, but they all work together like a big choir if we're doing things right. We don't want a bunch of solo acts back there. And work it all the way back next to the spine. And good. Okay, so this is kind of a new one. If you have a foam roller, a long foam roller, I want you to sit on it so that it's just kind of right on the sacrum, right at the meeting point there at the top of the butt. Put that right there so that your shoulder blades can kind of wrap around the foam roller. And from right there, palms are going to face together, and we're just going to extend and then retract the shoulder blades. Extend and retract shoulder blades. And just kind of let them glide over the rib cage. Good. Couple more. And this is why you do want to be building out your home gym a little bit to include different levels of foam roller softness and hardness, but also length. So it's nice to be able to lay here and let your sacrum, let your SI joints kind of roll and lay on the foam roller as well, and let your hips just kind of sit in that position. Okay, 2 hands, let the shoulder blades come back, and we want to reach all the way over the head. See if you can get your thumbs to the ground, come all the way back through to the hips. Shoulders all the way over, and all the way back. Thumbs to the ground here. From right in that position now, when the hands are over your head, I want you to feel the length through your belly, and see if you can just start that little bit of contraction where the pubic bone pulls towards the belly button. And we have a low level abdominal contraction that just kind of holds us in that position. And as we hold the low back tight to the foam roller, we want to be able to move the lat, freedom, through the shoulders and through the thoracic spine. You're noticing that I can speak while I do this, and I'm holding this low level contraction through the lower abdomen, and that's holding neutral pelvis, okay? So I'm not crushing my low back into the foam roller, I'm just holding it there in a nice neutral pelvic position. And through that, I'm able to move through the lat and create that length in the spine. Okay, let's change the arm action now. We're just gonna go alternate arms, reciprocate the arm action. Keep that low level contraction, lower abdomen. Low back is staying on the foam roller. You're not feeling too tippy here. You got nice balance moving through the shoulders. Let's go 4 more of those. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Okay, good. So we've established a nice neutral pelvic position. Let's go ahead and work through the glutes just a little bit. We're going to keep the foam roller long ways, so not the traditional short ways or horizontal position. We've got it vertical. And we're just going to work all the way from the sacrum and the SI joint all the way out till you feel that bony part of your femur, the lateral aspect of the femur. So we're just rolling all the way through, kind of like a massage. Unweight your body if you need to. And we're just working through that hip laterally. Same thing other side. Keep the knees a little bit bent. And just work through the other side laterally. And good. Okay. Let's take a second and do a little bit of stretching. Stretching is a little bit different than mobility. Mobility would fall under a category of neurological control. I can move in and out of that position. Flexibility and stretching falls into a little bit of a different category, where you put your muscle into a position and then you hold it, and you might even breathe into it. So I'm going to pretend that this is a couch. You can also do this from the wall, but today we're going to do it from a couch. We're just going to go foot up on the couch, just like that. And then we're going to come into this half kneeling position. So we're extending on the half kneeling hip opener series that we do a lot. And we're just starting to put the knee in more flexion. And I might not be able to actually put myself in this position with movement. I had to kind of prop it up on a couch. And now we're just going to hold into that nice long position. The harder you ride your bike, the more mountains you climb, the more you ski, the tighter this big quadricep muscle gets. And it's called Rectus Femoris, and he actually crosses the hip along with the psoas. So he is a big hip flexor. So let's just hold into that position. 2 hands on hips. And we're just going to take 5 big breaths. So the dynamic aspect of this stretch is going to be our ability to lengthen through the rib cage, create space from the ribs to the hips, and expand the rib cage using our breath. So in the vibe of foundation training, let's put thumbs on the bottom rib, pinkies on the hip bones, holding into that stretch, 3 big breaths. And 3. And shake that out. Let's go 2 hands to the ground, and we'll change that out. So the other foot is now going up on the couch or up on the stool. Sometimes we can put that rear foot onto the wall. Okay, so the wall stretch, the couch stretch, whatever it is, we just want an increase in the flexion in the knee. And if you cannot handle this height, you can go lower. You do not need to be in this big flexion position that I can get myself into. Some people can even get more than me. Okay, so we're in that nice couch stretch position. If you don't have an elevated position today, while we're doing this, just keep your back foot on the floor. Okay, so 2 hands nicely on the hips, and we're just going to take a nice big breath. We can use our measuring sticks. And we're using breath cycles to count into this and out of it. Let's go 2 more. Same side. Okay, 2 hands to the ground. Change sides. Half kneeling position, rear foot elevated. Now we're going to go into position 3. Position 3. So now, this time when I get into this position, I actually feel a little more comfort. This quad is starting to let go a little bit. So now, let's go ahead and take 2 hands overhead. We already released the lats. And what we're going to do here is just left knee drive just a little bit. A little bit of sink forward. And come right back out of that. Sink forward. Come back out of that. So as I sink forward, reach up. Good. We're going to go 3 more of these. Big inhale. Good. And 1 more. That feels pretty good today, considering how much training I did this weekend. And again, with this group, you guys, we're all following each other on Strava. So if you're on Strava, friend me, then you can hear what I'm talking about. I went out for a 1-hour ride on Saturday. Sorry, coach. Turned into a 3-hour ride. It was such a beautiful day. And I'm so thankful that I understand low intensity. Okay, 2 hands overhead. That immediately adds tension to my left quad. We're going to go for those little forward leans. 1, taking our time, big breath. 2, 3, good. 4, and 1 more. And 5, and take those arms down and relax. Okay, good. Next thing we're going to do, let's get this out of the way. Like way out of the way. Next thing we're going to do is just keep working through the pelvis. If this is my hip bones right here, the muscle directly inside of the hip bone is called the iliacus. And the iliacus connects the psoas muscle to the pelvis. And so we would be remiss if we did not pay attention to him. And so from right here, let's lay on our back. Let's start with making sure we're in neutral pelvis. So you're just going to lay on your back. Little bit of tuck under just to get the low back flat onto the ground. Now, the tightness in my hip flexors, when I extend out, there's still a little bit of tightness there. So I have a small space. If you have a small space under your low back, just leave it there. That's okay, right? If you have a big space and you're all archy like this, I'm going to work you more into getting, suggesting you get more work on your pelvic position. We can talk more about that if you want later. Okay, so right here you should be able to lay with pretty flat hips. You might have a little bit of space into your low back. Hands to the ground, and all we're going to do is just a little bit of hip hike on the right side. The heel on the right leg stays on the ground. We come right back. And then the left side, we just come straight back up and come right back down. You might feel a little bit of glute firing, and you might feel a little bit of hamstring firing. On the right side, a little bit of hip hike. Other side, a little bit of hip hike. Same thing. You might actually call this a little bit of a functional stretch of that hamstring. A little bit hip hike, a little bit hip hike. All right, from there, we're going to do our low leg sweeper, but we're going to initiate it very specifically. So it's going to be a little bit of hip hike, and then we're just going to really keep that leg low and bring it across. Now, we got right leg all the way across. Let's grab it with the left arm. And let's take the right arm all the way up. You should feel a little bit of tension through your pec, through your chest muscle. And we're just going to hold that. Again, flexibility. We're holding that position, not with our brain, but with our arm. So we're working a little bit of flexibility here. Inhale, exhale. And then come right back. Good. We're going to do the same thing on the other side. I'll change directions. You probably don't have to. Okay. Got arms out to the side. We're going to go a little bit of a left hip hike. Keep that leg really low. Roll it all the way up. Grab it with your right hand. Take your left arm all the way over your head. Let's breathe into that. All kinds of things going on through my rib cage right now. Breathe, expand the rib cage. You want it to move. And one more. And gently bring that leg back and unroll it. Let's go back to the first side. Okay, so heels on the ground. Hips are quite flat. We want to see that you can almost get your hamstrings to the ground. If your legs are perpetually bent like this and you can't touch the hamstrings, we need to work on continuing to do that stretch that we did first. Do this episode again. If you can't get your legs flat and get your low back close to the ground, we're going to keep working on those hip flexor length for you, okay? So right here, hands to the side, right hip hike, roll it up, grab it, right arm overhead. We got 5 big breaths here. One more big breath, in through the nose and out through the mouth. And bring that all the way back. Good, I'm going to stay on this side. Little hip hike, roll that leg to the side, grab it, arm overhead, breathe 5 big breaths. And 5, and bring it on back. All right, good. Okay, let's get on up from that position. And from right here, we're going to go into that nice big lateral half kneeling position. So just for future reference, this is a half kneeling position. Time out. I like to have my sticky mat when I do lateral half kneeling. Okay, so right there. So we're taking the lateral position with the leg. The knee is nicely under the hip. The foot is straight, okay? From right there, we're gonna push the hips back and then bring the hips back forward. As you push back into your hip hinge, this is a hip hinge, you should feel a little bit of stretch through the adductor and then come right back up. So this is more mobility because I'm not holding this position with anything other than my muscles, right? So drop the hips back, bring the hips back. 1. We're gonna go 10 of these. 2. As you go to the back, we're looking for this stretch. 3. In the adductor, hold. 4. 5. Drop it back. 6. 4 more. 7. Good. 8. This is hip flexion. This is hip extension. 9. Flexion, extension. Good. So you get a little bit of glute work in there too. You get a little bit of glute activation. You get a little bit of hamstring help, strengthening. And that's where this community that is coming together for us. I'm not big into flexibility or stretching unless there is strength to back it up. So Mobility Monday is just about moving well, and then we get into our strength work for the rest of the week. And hopefully you're falling into a really comfortable pattern of that. Okay, left foot out to the side, toes facing forward, hips to the back, chest up. Let's drop that back. You get that nice adductor stretch. 1. We got 10 of these. 2. You don't always need a big hex bar to get strong. 3. 4. 5. Although it helps. 6. 7. 8. 9. And 10. Okay, let's keep working on adductors. We're going to start in the half kneeling position. That would be midnight, right? Right down the middle of the clock. Take this knee to 2:30 or 10:30. Don't take it all the way to 3 o'clock or 9 o'clock. It puts your pelvis just in a little bit of a weird, it's too much for what we're after right now. It's not that it's bad, it's just a little bit too more than I'm looking for. Okay, so we're at 2:30. Nice big breath. Let's take the hands up over the head. Pull the rib cage away from the pubic bone, away from the pelvis. Right there, nice and strong. Adductor mobility. 2. Now, if your knee's going to the right, I want a slight rotation left. 3. 4. 5. 6. We got 10. 7. 8. 9. 1 more. And 10. Good. Same thing other side. Now the knee is straight up at 10:30. Arms way overhead. We're pulling the rib cage away from the hips. We're going to bend left, rotate right. Okay, here we go for 10. 1, 2, 3, 4. Reach for that space. 5, 6, 7, 8. Good. 9. 1 more. And 10. All right, good. Shake that out. We're going to finish up today with a little bit more movement through the head and neck. All right? So let's see if we can get you to grab your hands behind your back. Just like that. Okay? So the first thing we want to do is set an anchor down low. So square up the outsides of your feet. So if you can see these lines that I have on my mat, I don't know if you can see it, but we want to have the outsides of the feet parallel. That puts the hips into a little bit of internal rotation. Okay, so we're setting an anchor down low, grab the elbows behind your back, and we're going to take the right ear to the right shoulder. Keep your shoulders really low. And then we're going to go left ear to left shoulder. I was working with an athlete yesterday who's really about to make a massive breakthrough in both 70.3 and Ironman distance. We're in a work in progress right now. But we started recognizing that for him, being in that TT position was starting to really tighten up his neck. And this just kind of got me thinking that we haven't done enough of attention to the head and neck. We're just going to pay attention to that today, and I'll keep going on with this story here in just a second. Good and good. So by grabbing the elbows, we definitely keep the shoulders lower. Now let's go ahead and if you feel secure, look up, and then go ahead and look all the way down, all the way up. You can feel that tension on the way up, and then all the way down. Let's go 2 more of those. Leave that anchor nice and strong in the bottom half of the body. 3, 4, good, and 5, good. If you're okay, just keep those hands back there. We're going to look left and come back, and then we're going to look right and then come back. We got a couple more of these. Left, good, and then right. Last one. And good, and shake that out. All right, so I'm going to grab a towel to illustrate why we're going to start thinking about the head and neck a little bit more. First of all, there is a reflex called the ocular pelvic reflex. So if you're tight in this position here, just trying to hold yourself in a nice strong position. It's funny, this weekend I actually watched a little bit of social media, and a coach was indicating that she was really hoping to get an age group athlete sub 5. And she showed a video of him running. And I didn't want to say, oh coach, I can help you get there. But the way that the gentleman was running, and he went 5:06, so he's fast in a 70.3. But to go sub 5, posture strengthening and just position was going to be everything in my opinion. So he was running like this. Head forward, upper body kind of in a fatigued state. He looked tired, right? And so at the end of a 70.3, the head position dictates the position of the pelvis and how the lower body functions. So if we can keep the head nice and tall and still be looking up, still have that eyes up. Now, eyes down would be more of a resting posture, right? It's not bad, it's just resting, and it's not as efficient and strong as if your eyes are up and you're running strong with a strong head position. You don't want to be dropping your head, right? So between my working with Andre and this other position, I really started thinking about the neck. That if the body works like this, that if I can lift and create tensegrity through the rib cage by pulling the space between the ribs and the hips and unloading and decompressing the spine, if I can decompress the spine, I can get better lower body functioning because the signal through my spine and spinal cord is going to be much cleaner and more efficient. Then I have to deal with the position of the head and neck. So if the neck is tight, my question to you, is it unnaturally pulling either on the left or the right or maybe into some rotation and causing some more problems down the line? And so you're going to start seeing me play a little bit more with just the understanding that the position that we hold our head can really impact the function of the body. Thanks for coming to Monday Mobility. I really hope you stick around. If you want to go deeper and start building strength in conjunction with the same philosophies that we're doing the Mondays, please email me at Aaron@ECFIT Strength, and I will set you up for 30 days on me. Be my guest and see how much better you feel in 30 days. You're going to thank yourself. Thanks, guys. Have a great day. Peace.